Hey, what's good, Westworld fans? This is the Campfire Crew, and today we're going to be talking about Season 1, Episode 6, The Adversary. But before we do, look, I know I didn't do a video last week, and there's a good reason for that. I fell asleep, alright? And I'm not ashamed of it. Look, it was raining, I was chilling on the couch, I was watching Westworld, I had the lights off, I was feeling good. When the show was off, I was like, man, I ain't doing no video, plain and simple. Okay, but before we get into today's episode, let me really quickly talk about two moments that I was hyped about last week. And then one, Dolores popped off with that handgun to protect William. She just weighs lace to those cats, right? She gets Buck. I loved it. And then you fast forward on over to Teddy and the Man in Black. And when Dr. Ford showed up at the table, the Man in Black pulled out his knife and kind of, threatened Ford a little bit, and then Teddy springs into action, grabs the knife, slams it on the table, and it's like, oh, snap. Even threatening Ford, that dude just leaped into action. It kind of gave me chills about how much power Ford actually has over all the hosts. Okay, with that being said, let's go ahead and jump into the 10 moments that we had to talk about really quickly over episode 6. I'm going to go ahead and kick us off with moment number 1. Maeve gets choked out on purpose, right? She got the man in there. She's attacking his manhood, which you don't do that, man. You got to boost a man's ego up. You don't cut him down like that. Anyway, she gets choked out so she can die and come back awake or alive or whatever to meet Lutz, okay? I think that's this guy's name. If it's not, just let me know in the comment section below. I'm sure somebody will correct me. Look, she wakes up. She wants to know what's going on, right? She's curious. We find out later that she's actually paranoid, and she needs to know, what is this place? I need to know the truth. What's happening? This guy wastes no time. He completely spills his guts. He ain't trying to hold nothing back. Just lays it out on the table. He puts the program for her responses in her hands, and she overloads. She can't even handle it. She like short circuits or whatever for a second. So she's becoming very much aware about the situation at hand.
Elise has brought this information to Bernie, that there is definitely some type of espionage going on. Someone is trying to find out information and possibly tampering with the host. So Bernie does some research. He finds the guy who's missing, but he also finds that it looks like there's 5 other hosts who don't have a signal. They're not part of the original or the new program. They're not traceable. And they're located in an area known as Sector 17, which apparently seems to be off limits. Bernie goes to investigate.
Ford discovers a carved map of the maze on a table, and is curious how he looked at it because he just looked really concerned, even though he's aware of the maze. I think it's at this moment he realizes that there are other hosts in the park that he hasn't programmed to know the maze that's knowing the maze. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's the feeling I got, because he was so concerned he had to go back, check his little book, and look at it. I don't know what's special about this town, but I believe that is the same table where the Man in Black went to meet Lawrence, and Lawrence's daughter told him about the maze. That's also the same town where Dolores popped up. You saw the well there, where she talked to the same little girl, and she told her about the maze. So something's up with this town. Ford was obviously not adamant about destroying it, even though he doesn't care about any of the other narratives. It's all about his narrative. But he decided to stop short to spare this town. Not really sure what's up, if there's any more significance with it or not. I just found that to be very interesting.
As Maeve is making her way, as she's being taken through and seeing everything, as the tech has given her some clothes and she's able to see how everything happens, she sees people who are dead, some of the hosts, and they're just washing them off, and animals and everything else. She comes across a billboard, a sign as if to show the new people, check out all these old things, and she sees part of her old story, the story that she kind of remembers in her head of when she was with this little girl and the Indians attack, we remember from several episodes ago, and she wants to know, why are her dreams on this board? The tech explains to her that this is your old build. This is where you were. This is your story, and that we change it. In doing so, Sylvester happens to run across him and is furious with it. But Maeve has a plan for him. She quickly grabs him and threatens him, and explains to him that, you know what, maybe you happen to be the guy that's, facilitating just like I do, and allowing some of these techs to have a little fun with the host. Which puts him in his place, and is very, very clever from Maeve.
Teddy and the Man in Black try to sneak through the soldiers' ranks because the Man in Black needs Teddy, ain't trying to have him killed. And the classic, let me get your uniform and walk through. Little did we know that Teddy's pretty famous within these ranks, and the guys pull a gun on him, they start talking smack. Teddy doesn't even hesitate.
Bernie tracks the signal of these supposed hosts that are not on there to Sector 17, and he finds this old house. Immediately when I see this old house, I'm like, man, this thing looks creepy. What the heck is going on in this house? And he goes inside and he sees a family. And they seem to just kind of be minding their own business. But what's funny about it is that Bernie just walks into someone's house, and he's standing there. And of course, when they see him, they react accordingly. If some man just walked into your house, and he's trying to say voice commands to get him to stop, but they won't. Thankfully, Ford is there. And Ford explains to him that they only listen to him. And that the whole purpose of this was that it was something that Arnold made for him. This was his childhood. This is Ford's father and his mom and him as a kid, and apparently his brother. And it was something that his happy memory that Arnold tried to do something nice for him. This is interesting because you see Arnold in a different light. You see Arnold as maybe, all we know about Arnold as much is that he died and that it was possibly that he was a little crazy. But doing something like this kind of gives him more of a human element, make you think Arnold doesn't seem like such a bad guy. But he did this for Ford. But did he do it with an ulterior motive, or what caused Benard, or what caused Arnold to go down that path?
All right, back to Teddy and the Man in Black. They're now captured, and I believe it's here where the guy calls Teddy a traitor and then calls him a killer. It's saying, I think at this moment he does the flashback and he was like, "You're right, I am a killer." And then pops up, gets Buck, starts killing people, jumps on a Gatling gun, and just destroys everybody. He's shooting people at eyeball sockets and everything. He turned it all up. Explosions and stuff. Like, he's going in. I don't know what Dr. Ford did to Teddy, but he's got this new spunk, this new spirit, this new fire inside of him, where he almost seemed like there was a hatred in him. Like, I like new Teddy Buck, okay? This ain't like old Teddy. Old Teddy would have tripped and died hitting his head on a rock on the way to the Gatling gun. Like, there's no way old Teddy's getting out of the situation. And I don't think we're going to see this new Teddy die anytime soon. Before he was programmed, like, you heard him say, like, you're programmed to die, okay? Like, that's your job. Now, his job is to stay alive and do something. I'm not exactly sure what, but you think about it, as soon as he started going after Wyatt, he gets attacked by Wyatt's men, he gets beaten savagely, he doesn't die. He's near death. The Man in Black gives him a blood transfusion. He still doesn't die. He attacks a whole platoon of soldiers. Just him and the Man in Black. And he doesn't die. Any other time, the man's getting goosed. Okay? I like new Teddy.
Maeve is finally at the point where she wants these upgrades, and she has blackmailed Sylvester into doing so. The tech kind of explained to her that he had already done this in a way, so he finally decides to do it. And it's funny because the upgrade screen feels like a video game. It's an RPG. Hey guys, let's upgrade my strength. Let's upgrade my endurance so I can be better at this game. And it's funny because that's how it feels, because to them, it is almost like it's a game. So she decides she wants to feel less pain, but she also wants to be very intelligent. And as they're going to do this, the most interesting thing about it is they realize that someone has already tampered with her stats. And one of the stats that they have increased is her paranoia. She's freaking out. She's worried about it. She's interested. She's trying to figure things out, which could explain why she's in this situation, why she has realized it. But the question is still there. Who messed with it?
Young robot Robert kills his greyhound dog, which I found interesting because that's how episode number 5 opened up, was with Dr. Ford telling about how this dog liked to chase down rabbits and cats and stuff like that. But it's interesting because when Dr. Ford's questioning Robert, he's like, I was told to kill the dog, to put it out of its misery, or to, so it can't kill anymore. And it's at this point where Dr. Ford realizes that his adversary, Arnold, is still very much a player and can also control the robots that he has designed himself. Before it was like Dr. Ford was like, they only can respond to my voice. No, they also respond to Arnold's. So it looks like all the old hosts that's in the park that Arnold had a hand in building himself are the ones that Arnold can control. And I believe Bernie discovered that there was still like 47 active old generation hosts in the park or whatever. So very impactful scene. Is starting to come together even more, where it looks like Ford and Arnold are not on the same page, and they're going to be butting heads here soon.
LC is able to track the beacon that's being used to send these signals out, but it's also apparent that maybe this is also the one that is sending the voices to the host. Now this is immediately like, whoa, wait a minute. We kind of figured that this was some kind of program, that this was Arnold, but it keeps getting... So she goes to this place, and it's this dark theater. Immediately you're like, something bad's going to happen here, right? It seems pretty obvious, and it was pretty obvious. But as she's searching through it, she realizes that it was Teresa who was the last one that messed with it. And that's interesting because Benard's almost about to tell her about it. But she's able to keep him right before he's able to tell her about it. But then you kind of left with the thought, well, if that's the case, if Teresa's the one doing this, is all this just corporate espionage? Is that all this is? Is there's no actual, like, ghost in the machine, if you will, as far as Arnold? Which would be disappointing because the way it seems is that there's a lot bigger story to it. But I feel like there probably is. This is just another one of the little rifts in the entire wave that we're going to have with the show. But right before Elise is able to leave, someone sneaks up behind her and takes her. And we don't know what happens. It leaves you with that, but it's interesting to think about because she definitely had realized that there was someone else who had been tampering with it. We don't know who it is. We know it's not Benard that we can think of, unless he's really fast at getting there. We know it's not Teresa. She was just there. So who does that leave you? So who could it possibly be who grabbed Elise? Let us know. Leave us a message. I would like to know what you think about that. Moving on.
Guys, that's the video for today. I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sorry these videos come out like a day or two later, but with The Walking Dead also, coming out on Sunday, there's only so much we can do, all right? But this is an awesome show. We love it. We would love to, what are your theories about what's going on here? If you want to comment in the section below, we would love for that. Like the video if you like the video. Subscribe if you want to see more videos like this. Share this video out, whatever. Tomorrow, back on schedule with Game of Thrones. We are going to be doing Deity of the Seven. So we've already got that planned out. We're going to be shooting that probably some later on today and tomorrow. So make sure you don't miss out on that. And until next time, guys, we're out.